Downsizing is a film about scientists finding a way to shrink down your body size, basically. Now, they start this research with the hopes of finding a way to rescue humanity from their demise that will come from global warming and, all the problems we cause, basically, as big humans living in this rather small world. Now, I actually expected the main focus of the film to be more on the comedic side, but it actually turned out to be more serious, I would say. Like, there were depressed moments. You actually experience like midlife crisis, like how it looks, some more serious or maybe sad themes or realities of the life were shown on the film, whereas I was expecting like jokes about like, oh, we're small, big now big stuff are chasing us down, bees, flies and stuff. I was expecting something like that, but that wasn't the case, which I'm happy with. This was an experience as well. It was rather enjoyable, especially with the two rich dudes in the film that I really don't remember their names. One of them was Dusan, but I really don't know the other guy's name. But you probably know the actors. Anyways, I really enjoyed watching this film. I especially liked the concept a lot. It also inspired me on some, like, it gave me some ideas, let's just say that. And in the film, although it is not very, very deeply, told or shown, the concept really made me think, like, would this actually work if it were to happen in this current world, Now, as much as my, high school ass mathematics can tell, in basic, simple mathematics, it really seems to be a lot promising, In this movie, they are 5 inches. The people are 5 inches, which is 13 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken, which is for a whole grown ass man is a small size, And you need less oxygen, you need less food, less everything, basically, because you're smaller, basically, which is, like I said, very interesting, and as a solution looks very promising too. Now, is it possible? Like I said, my high school science ass informations are telling me that I have no idea and I have no way of telling it, but creatively, when I think about it, I see no goddamn way. Now, biological stuff are very complicated. They seem very complicated, at least. So, I really don't think it would be possible, at least how it is depicted in the film. Like I'm not against it, by the way. If it happens, all cool. I really don't know if I would prefer to be smaller or, stay in this size, but I see the benefits. I see the benefits of, being smaller. It would be interesting in my opinion, but at the same time, if we are going to, live like this, in our houses and stuff, I really don't see, other than, contributing to the wellness of the planet, that why would you actually go small? Because, like, for some people this may not be the case, by the way. This may be a positive thing, but I'm like, if I'm not even gonna live a primitive life, we are trying not to get killed by birds, spiders and stuff, like, of course it would be horrific, but at least it would be adventurous, it would be interesting. So, like, if I'm gonna sit in my house and, like, just keep playing games and watching movies, all that kind of stuff, like, why would you go small? I guess, I don't know. But in the film, they actually get to live a much wealthier life, so to say, because since everything is way easier to produce, they are cheaper or something, which is interesting. Now, with that being said, I think this is also something like they're cheaper because they're manufactured by bigger people or normal sized people. And I really am curious, like in a real life situation, how would be the decision be basically? Like, how do you choose if someone is gonna stay their size or gonna get smaller? Because like you need a workforce in full size, but you also need, I guess, more people that are, smaller, because like it's expensive for bigger people, for bigger buildings, because smaller people are building those. What I mean by that is smaller compared to the building itself. Like if you're building a mansion, a normal size human is, smaller to that mansion. So that's why it is expensive, more expensive. But in a case like a normal human building a toy house, which is around the size of the small humans use in the film, now that is easier, less expensive because it's just this size, Um, so that is cheaper to produce for a normal height person. Um, but if everybody is, 5 inches or 13 centimeters, like that's basically the same thing. Of course, materials and resource wise, we will have more because we will be using smaller amounts. But in the end of the day, you're a 5-inch person and building up, a bigger house than your height or size. Uh, that's gonna be costly. It's only cheap because it's manufactured by bigger people. So that was very interesting as well. Also, I thought about like, would there be, now the film actually mentions that with one or two lines, like they tip in that area as well, and that is, discrimination happening. Oh, you guys are paying less taxes, you guys are getting better stuff, you small people aren't even human anymore and stuff like that. Why would you have the right to vote or something? Stuff like that are happening in the film very briefly. And I think that's an interesting way as well. Like, how would it be? Because a smaller 13 centimeter person aren't gonna really be able to defend themselves from a big ass man, big ass person. So I'm really curious, how would they actually have order or security? Like imagine a whole nation going small. Everybody in that nation is small now, but a normal sized nation comes and says like, okay, we got you. We have the whole land. Like, of course they wouldn't just go all in small mode, but you get what I mean. I think that's an interesting thing. I think people would have armies with normal sized humans because it would be for us giants, in that situation, and they would be the secret weapon. Now I can be a secret weapon, in that world, I guess. Well, like I said, all interesting. Of course they would have nuclear bombs and missiles in small nations as well. Fuck it, but like, you get what I mean. We would be giants, like we would be in the Attack on Titan or something, like, which would be interesting in my opinion. So yeah, that's something that I was thinking after the movie. Also, I'd like to mention, like, when watching movies, there's something that I really don't enjoy, and that is not being able to finish the movie. When it's a long film and I'm kind of sleepy, and halfway through I go, these 1 second, 2 second sleeps, if you know, and I say like, okay, I have to, put this off and sleep. But what happens is, which happened in this movie, when I stopped watching, and especially if I watch the film when I'm sleepy, this extra happens in a more major way, what happens is I watch 1 hour of the movie, and then the next day I finish the remaining part, but then I really don't remember much about the first hour of the movie, and more importantly, how the pacing of the movie was. Because I literally had a whole day break in between that 1 hour and the rest of the movie, which is not ideal in my opinion. Like, okay, you watch everything without losing anything basically in the end of the day or in the end of the 2 days, But I wouldn't say it's the same experience. Of course, you can, go in the other room, like, go to the toilet, get some snacks for yourself, and, pause the movie, start again the movie and stuff. That I understand that's pretty normal. It's like 10-minute, 15-minute breaks. That's pretty normal. That happens in the movie theater as well. But what I mean is, you know, a whole day and especially sleeping on the film is very detrimental in my opinion. I really don't love that. So I wasn't really remembering the first part of the movie very well, and so I just skipped and seen the first parts when I finished the movie. After finishing the movie, that is, to remind myself what happened, and so that I can mention stuff that I wanted to actually mention but didn't took notes. And taking notes while watching the film is very fun, but like I said, the other day I was very sleepy, so I didn't even did that, which would be nice because there are times that I'm like, okay, I want to take a shot of this scene, or I want to take a clip from this scene or stuff. Well, you can't really do that with many streaming services, but you get what I mean. Which sucks, by the way. Why can't I at least screenshot it? Oh my god. Anyways, this makes me mad, man. Why can't I at least screenshot? What do I stole from the company when screenshot it? Oh my god, man. Anyways, like I said, it's interesting, but another thing is that the characters, like if we get to the review part of the video, something that I don't really enjoy in some movies is that they use characters as a tool rather than characters. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes movies create characters, write characters, and those characters do stuff. But in some movies create characters so that they can do stuff, to make them do something, if you get what I mean. So like if there is gonna be a button and that button has to be pressed by someone, some movies make that character afterwards. But some movies create the characters first and then put the characters in that role, if that makes sense. I like the second type of movies where a character isn't created for one task or two tasks, and that task can be like pouring water onto the main character, or anything that you can think of actually that can happen in a movie. And in this movie I felt like most of the characters were created so that they can fulfill a task, which I'm not a very big fan of. And in this movie it was a bit noticeable, because there are good amount of characters in the movie, but they have one or two lines most of the time. They have one purpose in the movie, and when they do that, they just disappear. They're very unremarkable, and yeah, that's really about it. It's not something bad, it's a choice, but it's a choice that I really don't enjoy seeing in movies and in other medium as well that tells a story. And lastly, the movie tackles some stuff with logic. You say like, oh yeah, that makes sense and stuff like that. But in some cases, especially how this cure is possible and stuff, they just go like, yeah, it's just possible. Which is fine in my opinion in some movies and in this movie as well, because the movie doesn't really take itself too seriously. Like it's not trying to be too scientific at the first place. Like they show you how the procedure goes, but they don't explain like, yeah, this is how it's happening. and you don't ask for it when you watch this movie. At least I wasn't really expecting it and asking for it. Like, I'm not here to get a science lecture. I wouldn't really understand it, and anyways, so it's fun at times, like I said. So in the end of the day, I would give this movie a score of 6, with the extra 1 point coming from the concept being lovely and making me think about more than the movie, which is a good quality in my opinion. It's not a very awesome movie. It's a fine movie. I'm glad I've seen this movie. I also want to see more movies, so I'll probably do that because, like I said, watching movies is really fun, but it's a bit hard to sit and, you know, dedicate that time to the movie because in my case, I want to experience the film how the director intended to. You know, I don't want to speed up the movie, which I really don't understand the logic behind it in most cases. But like, if you're enjoying your time with that, do what you want, man. Like, I'm not your father or anything, so nothing against you, dude. It's just that I really don't get the logic behind it. And another thing is, like, I don't really like skipping parts, or taking long breaks, pausing the movie and stuff like that in general. So it's a bit harder for me to actually sit and watch movies. But recently I deleted some of the games that I very repetitively, if I'm not using that word wrongly, playing. So that time will probably benefit me in doing stuff that I want to do more. So yeah, that's really about it. Thanks for watching and see ya.